Welcome. This is Gull, your money mindset expert. And today I'm so excited. We get to speak to the amazing, the wonderful, the beautiful Christi Cooper. Welcome, Christi.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you so much for coming, Christi. Christi, everyone's heard your intro, so they know how amazing you are. But please, in your own words, share with everybody what it is that you do.
Yeah, so I am a designer, a graphic designer, web designer. I've been a designer for decades. And I currently own and operate Cooper and Hart Creative, where I help coaches, consultants, service providers, primarily in the online space, really kind of up level their visual branding and graphics via websites and sales pages. And so that they actually love to share it with their people and it helps them sell.
Awesome. Fantastic. So Christi, tell us, how did you start this? I know that you have a journey to tell. So do talk us through, how did it all start for you and how did you end up coming into the online space?
Yeah. So like I said, I've been a designer for a long time, at 23 years now.
Oh, wow.
if you can believe it.
You don't look old enough to be 23 years.
Yeah, I started when I was 17, so you can do the math. And I started in like a print shop, with like paste up and like typesetting stuff. And I just kind of went from there. I decided to go to college and get a degree in graphic design. Then I worked at a design agency for 11, 12 years, somewhere around there. And really what happened is I was at the agency. I had my first baby and I was just feeling burnt out. I was burnt out at work a lot. I was managing way too many things at my job. I was a coordinator for production projects. So I had to manage vendors and things like that for things that were everything from business cards to museum graphics, like car wraps, signage. Like I managed all of that in addition to doing design projects. And it was just a lot. And I was kind of tired and not inspired to do my design work anymore. And I started looking around because of my baby of like, what would it look like to work from home, right? So I kind of, I stumbled upon like the blogs that were like, you could be a virtual assistant and stuff like that. And I was like, okay, well, if it could be a virtual assistant, I could probably be a designer online, right? And it just I let that idea kind of sit with me. And so I just kind of started, let's see here, it was the end of 2016, early 2017 is when I decided to kind of just take a chance. And so I'd watched this webinar from someone and it really inspired me to just start to freelance on my own. So I just kind of started to put myself out there in Facebook groups, and interacting, and I just kept at it, and it kind of developed, and I kind of to see what was possible from other people and what they were building in their online businesses, and I was like, that would be really cool if I could do that too. And so I just kept at it, and then I had my second baby in 2018, and because at the time I was managing my business, my freelance business, and my full-time job and being a mom. And then I had my second baby, and then it was like, we couldn't do daycare for 2 kids at the time because it was just too expensive.
Yeah. And I know how expensive childcare is for sure. It's crazy. Half your income goes towards, after tax, by the way, goes to childcare. What's the point?
Yeah, it was a lot. And it was like, it was just too big of a chunk to make sense. And so I'd been building the business on the side, and I just kind of took a leap of faith and went full-time in my business because I was the primary income earner. My husband worked a part-time job. So like my income was the bulk of our income. And we just took the chance, and we lived off credit cards for a little while, and I got some clients, and it was real up and down. All through 2019. So I went full-time in the end of 2018, all of 2019. I made it work. I got clients. and they weren't consistent. So I had that kind of classic up and down revenue.
Entrepreneurial journey. Yeah, that's the roller coaster journey. Yeah.
Yes.
I've got a question for you. So, I mean, it worked out in your favor because then the pandemic hit and everyone turned to the online space, and probably that helped you build your business. But let's walk back a bit. If you're the main breadwinner, and I know there are reason why I'm mentioning this because there's a lot of people listening to this, and this could be a man, it could be a woman, doesn't really matter. We know our audience is a lot of the time from corporate background, they could be man or a woman, and so it doesn't matter if they're which gender there are, but a lot of the time if they're the main breadwinner but they have this yearning for doing something else, or they feel like they've burnt out, and that's where the so-called midlife crisis happens as well, in the late 30s, early 40s, or sometimes mid 40s, early 50s, where you've been in this job forever, it seems like forever, and you're good at it because you've got all this experience and you're at a certain income level because of the experience and your ability to do the job, yet it no longer excites you, no longer makes you happy. Like I had someone talking to me this morning saying they loved their job. I mean, they were good at the job, but they were literally crying going to it, and they were crying on the way back, and they were crying in between as well. And so if you're the main breadwinner and you're in this situation where you hate your job, now I know for the fact, because I'm a money person, that's going to create a dynamic with your money. It's going to start causing you to have toxic money. But emotionally, how do you let go of that job, which you need to look after your family? In your case, you were the main breadwinner, so you had to have some certain kind of mindset. Say, no, I'm going to make this work. I'm going to do this. I'm going to let go of this clutch, because there's nothing more than clutch. A job is nothing, doesn't give you security. The security comes from yourself. But people hold on to it like with dear life, like I can't let go because this is my way to survive. How do you let go of that clutch? How do you let go of the need for certainty in the 9 to 5 and come towards uncertainty, which gives you more rewards, of course, in the long run? But it is full of uncertainty. It is full of upheavals. There are peaks and troughs, and especially with the young family. So do share with us what went through your mind and how did you get around it?
Let's see. I was really scared. Naturally. I remember this moment, like 3 weeks after my baby was born. I had like a really short maternity leave, and I was in the shower and I was thinking about quitting my job because I hadn't told him I was quitting yet. And like that fear had like washed over me. And I just remember thinking, I was like, no, I'm going to make this work. That consult call that I have next week is going to work out. There was someone, business that I was going to reach out to about working with me. I was like, that's going to work out. And I'm just going to trust that I can make it work. And, worst case scenario, I look for another job. Like, and I know I was very hireable. At the time I was hireable. I don't know about now, but I was a very good employee, and I knew it didn't work out, I would just find another job and it would be okay. And so I think it's just that like a little bit of trusting yourself and what you can do and what I've created previous to that. Like I'd always made things work out before. Whenever there were challenges. And so I think it was that. I think it was just that.
So self-reliance and the fact that you've done it before, you can do something different now too, right?
Yeah, like I could do hard things, right? I can do hard things. I'm capable of doing hard things.
That self-confidence. So here's the questions. How do you build that self-confidence? How do you build that self-assurance that, you know what, I got this, I can do this? How did you build that? How did you have that mindset? Because it's not an easy mindset to have. How did you build it? Did you read books, or was it just something that you worked on, or was that something the way you are naturally are? Because some people are.
It's a good question. Like, I think I've always had a belief that I can be really good at stuff. Like I can be really good at this thing that I'm wanting to do. I just have like kind of an ingrained like achievement type orientation. I don't know if that's the way my parents raised me. I don't know, but
I can do it. I can do this attitude.
Like it was like I can be one of the best. Is kind of like, or I could be really good at this, and And yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure where that came from, but that's kind of like at the root of it. And then I think like as I was getting into when I was doing my business on the side, it was learning more about self-development and kind of becoming more aware of like, oh, I'm thinking these things. And so that's why I'm not taking action and, you know, stuff like that. And so I think it was that combination of like kind of like that core, like, okay, I can do stuff and I could be really good at it. And then learning more about self-development, learning more about mindset as it goes. Because I didn't really pay attention to mindset stuff before I started a business.
Most people don't.
Right, exactly. And then I started business, and then people start talking like, you need mindset. And then you start reading some books and, you know, listening to podcasts. And it just like, you're like, oh, and like, and you realize, oh, I do have to work on that, or I have to think a little bit differently, or, you know, just be more aware of what I'm thinking, just stuff like that.
So, I mean, what you've said is completely, you know, backs up my ideology that you need to have a belief. You need to have a very strong sense of belief. And I read a book a while ago. It's called The Magic of Believing. And I love that. And I recommend that book to anybody, by the way. I wish I could remember the author's name, but it was a long time ago. But The Magic of Believing. It's an amazing book. And it's written, I think, in the 70s or something, 70s or 80s. I can't remember, maybe even 60s, actually. It was written a while ago. But the principles detailed in the book are still applicable now. And it really shows how you need to have the sense of belief first before magic appears in your life. And what seems to be happening in your life is you had that sense of belief. That was sort of what you grew up with. Maybe the parents, where your parents brought you up, or the way, but you had the sense of belief that I can do hard stuff. I can do this. I can do this. And then when you started with the business stuff, and obviously things are thrown at you and your own identity is questioned, and you're like, oh my God, I thought I was smart. I'm supposed to be smart.
Yeah, exactly.
And you realize you picked up some limiting beliefs on the way. So this is where personal development comes in. You pick up, oh, I'm thinking like this. Oh, I'm not supposed to think like this. It's just an obstacle that I need to overcome, or I need some skills that I need to develop, or this is what I need to help, or this is where I need to seek help from. Or I can't do this by myself. I need to go and ask for help or support, whatever the limiting belief you may have. It's learning as you go along, but holding on to the core belief. I got this. And whatever I need to learn, I'm gonna learn. But I got this. And I think this is so important. You either have it because you were lucky enough to be brought up in an environment, and you know, a home environment, to have that, I believe. I think I was lucky enough to do that with my mother. There's nothing that was too, was too much for me. I could do anything. I could be a rocket scientist. I could be an astronaut. I could be whatever. My mother said I was, I was the most beautiful thing in the world as well. So I was like the most prettiest girl. I could be Miss Universe before that.
Yeah.
All of those, thoughts that your parents give. I was lucky enough to receive that ideology from my mother. That meant whatever came my way and all the other limiting beliefs that I had, I always came back to the core belief, like, okay, this is a limiting belief, or this is something that I need to learn. I got this. And I think this is so important. So people talk about mindset and people talk about different things. Whatever project you start, whatever new things start, you're going to come across new things, and you're going to be stuck like, I thought I was clever. I thought I was smart. How the hell am I supposed to do this? I have no clue, right? So your intelligence, as well as your emotional intelligence, especially when you start running a team and as an entrepreneur, start becoming an employer, going from employee to employer, different mindset, and you're running team members and you're having team members and having clients. It's a completely different dynamic to being an employee. And so again, you think, I thought I was smart with people. I thought I had emotional intelligence. Where did that go? So you learn that again. But I love the fact that you have this belief, I got this. I can do it. And anything else that I don't know, well, I'll learn. I think this is called a growth mindset. You have an idea that, okay, I'm great. I can do this. If I don't know it, I'll learn. But a lot of people get stuck. They get stuck in a number of places where I'm so clever. Why do I feel dumb here? Oh, this makes me really comfortable. Let's go back to what I know. And that's one of the biggest problems I find with, over-intelligent people, and especially those people who are really smart, especially in the corporate sector. There are so many super, super, super smart people in the corporate sector who are grinding day by day because they're so smart in their jobs that they don't think they're overly smart to be able to come and learn something new. And they don't realize that they just feel really uncomfortable in this new space, and then they let their dreams die. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, I think so too. Yeah, it's definitely, I've got this. It's definitely a core thing that I repeat that to myself daily. Like that's just something that comes up for me. But yeah, I definitely think that people they're just scared to like try something different, because what if it doesn't work out, and they don't have that little voice that says, well, you can figure it out, or you know.
What about the other one? What if it does?
Yeah, I love that one.
What if it does? What if it does work out? And I think people are equally scared of the unknown of success and failure. A lot of the people who are successful in the corporate sector, if God forbid they become successful in their personal, entrepreneurship, they wouldn't know what to do with themselves half the time. It is people, they have a genuine fear of success, as they do have a genuine fear of failures. And sometimes that holds us back. Like, oh, really? And in your case, I would say it was an even bigger step, because you knew if it didn't work out, yes, you could get a job, but in between you still have your partner who's dependent upon you, and a child, or two children actually by this time, who are dependent upon you. So you have to figure out how to get food on the table, let alone anything else. And that's important. But yet you still held the belief, and that's what paid off. I think I want to stress this enough to people listening. If you hold on to the belief that you can do it, you'll find a way to make it happen. Is that true?
I think so. I was thinking about this because I actually just made a big move. I moved my family to a different state. So I moved from Oklahoma to Colorado, and we bought a new house, and like all of this stuff, our expenses went up, and like just a big change, right? And I was like, yeah, I have to remember that I've got this. I can work, everything's gonna work out, and we're gonna move forward. And I've seen, if I look back, I can find evidence in my life of every time I've gotten what I wanted. Like maybe it didn't go on the same timeline, or exactly how I thought it would, but I eventually got kind of those big things that I wanted. I bought my first house when I was in college. I eventually had a baby. It was later than I thought it would, but I did. So it's like things just work out
eventually. But you do have to go through your upheavals. Well, on that note, we're going to wrap this episode up. Tell us, Christi, where can we find you? How can we connect you on the internet?
Yeah, my website is cooperandheart.com, and you can also find me on Instagram at cooperandheart.
Wonderful. If you're listening to us on podcast, then the link that Christi just mentioned will be in the show notes. And if you're watching on YouTube, then down below in the description section, we'll have those links for you too. Go check her out. She's amazing, and see how she can help you with your brand. Christi, thank you so much for being such an amazing guest for us today on Friday Feature. Please, we would need to have you back on Money Talkies. But today, thank you so much for being an amazing guest.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for listening to me and Christi too. I will be back on Friday Feature with another amazing guest, finding out how they change their life by changing their mindset. Until the next time we meet, this is Gull signing off. Take care and bye for now.